Alright, and I think we're live. Okay, so what I'm going to do today are probably just a few different oil paintings. So I'm gonna continue on this one, but then I think maybe we'll start a completely fresh one afterwards. So we'll just see how this goes, and I'm just gonna start. Hi, so welcome to everyone who's joining. So as I just said in my little introduction here, so I'm just gonna start painting a bit on this one and see where it takes me. I wanted to change it a bit. I did kind of think it was finished for a little while, but now I have decided that there are quite stark changes that I would like to do. Tessa says hello from Brighton, UK. Well, hello to you, and you're very welcome to this live stream. Yes, I'm just gonna see what happens. I have some ideas where I want it. You finished it already? Well, I think not. I did kind of think I had finished it, but I'm not entirely pleased because I like the sky and the tree and so on, but I'm not pleased with the landscape, and I would like to have some trees too. Was just about to meditate, but this just does the job as well. Well, I'm glad. Okay, let's do some painting meditation then, even though I'm probably going to talk the entire time. But you're very welcome to just zone out or even mute me and listen to some music instead. So what I really wanted to do is I want these mountains to just go really far off into the background, and then I'm going to plant some trees here and bring it all much closer than what it is now, because for some reason or other I wasn't entirely happy with it. I used to paint like this more than I do now. I'm faster now and I usually finish, but painting on top of a painting that is quite finished, it's kind of how I learned. And I have ruined a lot of paintings, but sometimes they do get better, and I hope that's going to be the case this time. So yeah, just gonna add some clouds, and then I think while I have the painting here and everything is dry, I'm gonna try to see if I can make it even a bit brighter. Even though I like how it shines, I think it could shine just a little bit more. But that means adding some other colors first. So this yellow is going to go away again, but just to have a little background for the white that's going to be added on top of it. And so yeah, you're all very welcome to just ask anything you want to, chat with each other, or just watch. Right, so we can make it shine more. Because I thought that this painting was a little bit boring. So I think what I would like to do is to add more trees, hem it in a bit more, get that view, and then have a landscape. And then just see how it goes. So with these paintings, as with all my paintings, there isn't a clear plan. I have some idea of what I want to do, but a lot of it is just going to happen while I paint. I can't see the hobbits, Tessa says. Well, they are there, I assure you. If you just look very, very close, eventually I am sure that you'll see them. Beautiful, Tessa says. Thank you. I always loved Hobbiton, and I do love The Hobbit too. That wonderful mood and feeling there. So you're very, very welcome to imagine that there are hobbits running around here. And yeah, so let's get that kind of a beam, because you can see that I have very slight beams here of light. We can have a little bit, have that a bit more accentuated here. It's always a bit nerve-wracking when you paint a new layer on top of a more or less finished painting, because obviously it can do great damage. But I have found, even though I have ruined a few paintings like this, there's so much to learn, because that way you can actually go a step further. Komal says hi. Hi to you. Welcome to the stream. Oh yeah, so that way you can actually expand upon the things that you've already done, and it's a good way to learn if you're just willing to potentially sacrifice a painting. And I know some of my paintings in the beginning I probably had 20, 30 layers on top of one another. I never finished them, but I learned a lot. Of course, doing it in a live stream is a bit more risky, but let's see how it goes. So I have a few different projects for today, and this one, it's not going to take too much time. I think you're going to see how it goes. Then I have one that I had just started, that I have an idea how I want to continue, and we might do that, but it could be a bit too large for a live painting. Otherwise I have a completely fresh one that I might want to start up too. So yeah, I think that's already somewhat better. And then I think the landscape down here I'm just going to completely change. You can paint on top of it and use the journal, because when you paint again the second time, a lot of the lines are going to stay underneath. They can be quite annoying. So I do like to kind of keep them, because I don't like it when there are lines that just make no sense in the painting. But I think the colors and so on, we're just gonna change completely here. And then I'm gonna bring it quite a bit closer, because I would like some trees that you can actually see, so that we'll get a landscape that's much, much closer. Because these mountains in the beginning I imagined being miles away. That is not my wish now. I would like to have some trees and so on that you can really see the details. And I think we'll get some color in here, and yeah, just change it. And it's a painting that I have done quite a few times, this with the sun here and just a lonely tree. And so I really just wanted to see if we can't make something different out of it. Meanwhile, I say this, it's probably going to look very much like all my paintings. But I have an idea. So I think a nice feeling would be this kind of a highland feeling. Well, we don't really say the highlands in Norway. That's still what they are, basically. So the areas that are higher up, basically, than the rest of the country. And the trees are smaller. The vegetation is very different. The plants are different. To get a bit of that feeling here. And Dasein Art Studio, welcome to you. A few stars here. So the reason why I'm going to repeat, if anyone asks something or says something that I react to, I'm going to repeat it. It's because sometimes I do upload this into YouTube, but the comment section won't be there, so your names and everything won't be there. But if I respond, it's nice for people that watch it later to know what's going on. So that's going to be the reason I do that. Alright. Now I think just some highlights so that we know what's going on there, and then I can start planting some trees, because that's really what's going to make it a bit more obvious what my plan is here. It's going to be when the tree planting starts. So all of this is just from my imagination. It's just something I'm coming up with while I paint. Obviously, a lot of it is based on things that I've done before, but there's no photo reference, or there's no place that I'm basing this on. Which probably makes it a lot easier too to just talk here and do it live, because I don't have to concentrate to that extent. Except for you'll notice my voice will change and get a bit different once I have details to paint, because then I do have to concentrate. And yes, we'll just get some sun on top of these hills. They still look like they're a very, very long way off. But I hope that the trees can change that. I know that a lot of other painters well, usually they will plan the painting, which will mean that they'll already know where the trees are and so on. One of the reasons why I like to paint all of these lines and get some of the colors in first is because I don't know that. And once you've then started planting trees and everything, it can get really annoying trying to get the background behind the trees. So I keep having to plan a few steps ahead. Even though it is an intuitive process, I do have to know that, okay, I want to plant trees there, let's get the lines there down first. Of course, even when the trees are planted, that is possible, but I would just like to have some of the color. And some of that sun into the painting before I plop those trees down. I think maybe for now, I'll just do a few trees so that we can see what's going to go on, what the plan is. And I like to just start with black or something so that I can actually get the contrast. And now the question will be how big everything should be. Let's see. Cute animal stones, you're welcome to the pod. Pod? I've listened too much to podcasts, to the live stream. So yeah, I did say I was probably going to get a bit more quiet when I'm doing these details. So we'll see. Okay. Yes, I think this size is good. Then I am sorry, guys. There are some comments here in Arabic. I don't speak Arabic and I can't get my Google Translate up here. But anyone who wishes can feel free to translate it. And I can respond. Hi to you, Shreyash. You're welcome to the stream. So let's see here. So the leaves are usually going to decide a bit how big everything is going to be. So I think once you have a few trees, it's going to get a bit easier to actually orient ourselves in the landscape. While I used to just make really the shadows of the trees really quickly, I have noticed that once I have done that too often and I have lots and lots and lots of trees, then having to go back and do the details, it's just such an amount of work that I like to do a lot of the details right away, even if they're going to disappear behind something afterwards. Wonderful, Mr. Seth. Thank you. And here I discovered a little hair from our dog. These things can be really annoying. There we are. See, I can't do too many trees because I don't think those clouds are quite finished. But now that I look at them, maybe they are. Okay. So, I think we have the size. I can just, well, maybe I'll get a river in here. A lot of things can start happening once you just get a few details. Everything else can kind of come off of that. So what I've often noticed is that it's the most difficult part when nothing's there. And then once you have a few trees, the landscape is started to come alive, it just gets easier because you can just see, okay, that might fit there might be a river here, and then that comes there, and so on. And then eventually it just all takes a life of its own, and you're not so much deciding what to do as just painting the things that you can already see there in a way. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's how I do it. You're an amazing artist. Have to go. Thank you so much for sharing. You're welcome. Thank you for stopping by. So the question, I think, will be how many trees, how much should... But I think actually it would be nice to have quite a lot of stuff here. So quite a detailed landscape, I think, would be nice. Now the problem here, of course, for a live stream is that it's going to be somewhat difficult to paint the things that are over here, because I don't want to block everything out with my hand. I'm just going to scoot out my brush as far as I can and see if I can get those details done anyway. So I have noticed that the very end of a painting is going to be as difficult on a live stream, because I have to get really close. And then I can really show anything. But most of the details and so on I can do here. I wanted to do more spring painting and so on, but spring hasn't truly arrived here yet. And it's been such a long time since we really had spring that I have to wait a little bit for that to get truly inspired. And so I have no idea what kind of season this is. I think it's going to be some autumny-ish season, but that isn't entirely decided. So I mean, there are leaves obviously on these trees, and so it's not winter, but I think the colors are probably going to be a bit more autumny. Now maybe we'll get that river going. I think a river might be nice. There's not much room, but just a little stream. I mean, maybe not a proper river, but just a little stream here. Just have something else going than only trees. Rivers are very nice for perspective too, so that's always helpful. So yeah, to those of you that have newly joined, this is a painting that I thought was finished, but then I looked at it the other day and I decided that there was still quite a bit of stuff that I wanted to do. We're going to have a launch of new things in, well, maybe a week or more. And I wanted some of my paintings to be finished for then. And when I looked at this, I just decided that I didn't really think it was finished. So either I would have to put it aside and start new ones, or I would have to go over it again. So that's what I'm doing now. So a few more trees and then some more color into the landscape. Then I think it might be fun to do some of these larger trees, because I think that's going to frame everything really well. So I think right now it kind of runs off to the sides. But once those trees are, planted might be, are painted, I suppose, they're going to frame it a bit more. I think that's going to be good. And then the focus will be more on the landscape. Because right now all of the focus is on that tree. But I think it's going to be really nice to have some of the focus more into the landscape. Hello, Cressy. Welcome to another live stream. Cressy is one of my regulars in these live streams. And I'm very grateful that I already have people that have followed me for a while. What a wonderful surprise. Well, I thought it was about time to do another live stream. And then suddenly I just decided, all right, let me invite you guys in now, because I had some oil paintings to do. And I did say that I was going to do some of my tiny miniature work on these little woodcuts, but I'm not entirely sure if I can zoom in that close without obscuring everything when I'm painting on it. So I'll just have to see. Maybe we'll do that. But so yeah, and now I'm just trying to get this landscape here to take some more life, because it wasn't really anything. It was just some purple mountains. And it's nice if I have quite a lot of paintings that are just halfway finished, almost entirely finished, like this one, then no matter what kind of a creative mood or not I am in, there's always something to do, and it will always fit with some mood. So sometimes you're not creative at all, and you just want to do some mechanics and just some details, and sometimes you just want to be creative, and then you can just do the background. I had problem with the audio again, but now I hear you, so hi again, Gracia says. Well, I said welcome to you, and said that it was wonderful to have you here again, and that you are one of my regulars, and that I am very thankful that you keep joining me. So I think that was about what you missed out on. Yeah, sometimes I have noticed that people have a problem if they just pop in and there's an audio problem, but then you can just log out and go in again, and that seems to fix it. So I did actually promise last time that I was going to continue on the desert painting that we did last time, but I still haven't really gotten to watching my desert documentary and really getting into that feel. So I think maybe I'll have to put that off for another time. I have a different painting planned that I would like to paint a bit on, but it's a bigger size, so I'll have to see if that's actually going to work. Otherwise, we're just going to start with a new one. And I'm going to have to see anyway how long this takes, because it might be more work than I anticipated. I just had a busy time, and now is my relaxed moment, so I can't imagine a more perfect time, and says Cressy. Well, that's wonderful. Then everything was timed perfectly. I did have an instinct that today I wanted to do the live stream a bit later, because when I have done them too early, I have woken people up and so on. So I think maybe this time is better, because my workday is not finished, but most other people's are in this hemisphere. So let's see, I think we'll soon have enough trees that I can focus a bit more on the foreground. And then here, I think it's all going to be contrast. So I don't think I'm going to... Well, now while I'm saying it, maybe there's going to be some color there too. And I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but if you hear some scratching noises, those are the mice inside my wall. That especially now that I'm a bit calmer and I'm just talking like this, they have come out and decided to gnaw a bit further. So that's going to be that. bit creepy. Kreative Kunstreise. Me too. I was also very happy when I realized that Joachim is live. Perfect time. Just made myself a coffee. Well, wonderful. That sounds really great. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this stream up for quite a while. So you can just make yourself cozy, make yourself a coffee or tea. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep it going for a while, as I said. Oh wow, is this the desert painting? No, no. So the desert painting, I haven't done any work on, and I'm going to have to get into the desert mood a bit more before I can continue that. So this is a different one that I don't think you've seen in my live streams before. No, I'm gonna have to get a bit more into the mood of a desert to be able to continue that. So this, I think, is just the landscape is probably going to be some Norwegian-y, highland-y feeling. So this is a painting I started quite a while ago, and I thought was finished, and then I decided it wasn't. So now I'm continuing it. I thought it was too different to be the desert one. Yes. No, I do radical changes sometimes, but that would be a bit too extreme. No, that paused because someone decided to call me. It was not good timing, and I'm not going to take that. There are a lot of people that keep calling me, wanting me to change electricity and so on. Let's see here. Okay, I think we're going to do one of those. Yeah, one of those more radical changes. I hope that's not going to shock people too much. Probably not. Let's see. So I'm just going to put in the base of a few trees. So I want trees on both sides, and I want to frame the painting more. So while this is nice, it's not going to stay that way, basically. So yeah, let's see here. I'm just going to do the outline a bit, so I know where things are going to be. This is a pine, or spruce maybe they're called. And then I would like something similar on the other side. And basically what I'm hoping that this will do is that it'll just, like as I said, it'll frame the painting. The difficulty is going to be on the other side is that I can't really have my hand there. So I'm going to have to do some really uncomfortable positions. So I can't really finish the trees on that side, I think, with the details. But what I can do is I can just do something like this. And that way you guys can still see it. It's going to be a bit more difficult. But that's the price you pay for having a live stream. And I can learn some new hand positions for painting. This is a good thing too. When the painting is this dry, I can put my finger on top of it to steady my hand. That actually helped a lot. So while this changes it quite dramatically, I have painted so many paintings lately where in this kind of a way that I just wanted to change, really. Yeah, I think you guys are getting a bit more of an idea what my plan is now. And I think the second I manage to close it more in, the sun should be brighter too. So a lot of the shine from the sun is always the contrast that you can create in a painting. And so the more of a contrast I can do here, the brighter that sun is going to be. And I think we'll even do be bold and have some things come in from the top here too. And those can be even closer. That can be shown better when the leaves come than the tree in front, so that we really get that feeling of being far into the forest. So underneath a canopy or something. I have to be a bit careful to not get fingerprints into my painting, and I think most places are completely dry, so that should be fine. So yeah, we are working now at the moment on our next release, and then we are going to start traveling. And that's going to be fun. I think I might do some live paintings on the road too. Painting outside is wonderful, but I don't paint from things that I see, but it's still wonderful to sit outside. Hello, Janine. Janine says hello. Welcome to the stream again. Yes, I haven't done this in a little while. I thought it was nice to do one again. And it's nice to see that you are here too. So this is a painting that I don't think we've seen in the live streams before. Maybe I did a few, but that's lines on it, but no, nothing much. Yes, on this side I'm not going to do it completely detailed and finished, because it's just a really awkward angle with my hand. Krasi says hello to Janine. Yeah, so you guys are very welcome to just chat with each other too. I really like that, to open up this little space, and of course you can all feel free to ask me of anything, but just this be a very relaxed and open space where everyone can just be. And Janine says hello to Cressy. Very good. Right. Yeah, so I think what I would like is to really have quite a lot of vegetation here. I'm not going to be able to do everything now, just because this amount of detail is going to require me being very close to it. But I think quite a lot of it we probably can do live. And since I have heard that a lot of people do seem to take these as a bit of a calm meditation-y video thing, I am not as concerned as I was about being boring, because then that's not such a problem. Joachim, have you painted seaside paintings so far? Yes, I have a few. Not many, since I don't live by the seaside and I often need some inspiration. But I have painted a few, and I really like that. But I would like to be a bit more by the sea before I really start painting more of that. And I think in the shop so far, if I painted anything finished for that, I think not. So yeah, to do more seaside paintings, I would probably, at least it's been such a long time since I really seen the sea, that it's all just going to be out of memories and or documentaries and so on. But I would like to do more of that. So the grandparents of my girlfriend do live by the seaside in Germany. And at some point we hope to, once this situation is more under control, to visit them. And maybe I could get some inspiration there to paint more seaside paintings, because that would be nice. I'm already in summer mood, and that's why I wondered. Well, summer mood, yeah. I am in a summer mood too, just that it's really there isn't any summer here. But yeah, I would really like to paint more seaside paintings and get that mood into it. I really love those dunes that are, for instance, in Denmark or northern Germany, where the grandparents of my girlfriend live. And I love those paintings. I would like to do something similar. From that environment, where you have these grass dunes by the sea. I think that's wonderful, and just the raw power of the sea is brilliant. I love underwater painting, Nylov says. Underwater, that would be cool. Then I would have to have some more scuba gear, I think, and get that experience. Yes, I saw your snow lingers still. Krasi says, yeah, we still have snow here. I think in the next few days, at least a week or two, we should start having some proper spring here. But yeah, we still have snow. And the problem is that at some point I just get sick and tired of winter clothes, and I switch to summer and spring clothes even before plus degrees have really started. So I've been really cold for quite a while now. But I like to say that you dress for the weather you want, then hope that it comes. It's not a great philosophy to have in Norway, but we do still have some high in the mountains, but it's so nice time for warm pools somewhere. Ah, that does sound nice. Yeah, I'm sure that summer and spring will come. It will come. And the fact that exactly, Janine says, yeah. But the thing is here that since we still have snow, even though the sun is out and it's getting quite warm, that means that once the snow is gone, it just really explodes, and that's wonderful. So the leaves and everything is ready now. It's waiting for that last little burst of warmth so that the snow can melt, and then it'll be wonderful. It goes so fast, and suddenly the flowers come and the leaves come, and suddenly it's spring. The spring here is ridiculously short. If you're going to measure spring by the fact that there's no snow and the leaves have started to come out, or that there are plus degrees at night, it really is just a few weeks, really, and that summer gets going. But it is a wonderful time of year. So the rest of Norway already has proper spring, but we are quite a bit further up here. So I think we're about 600-700 meters above the sea level, above the sea. And in Norway, that is quite high, because the tree limit is 1,000 meters, and then the tree stops. So our plan is to move a bit further down so that we can have spring a bit earlier. And I would like to have a garden at some point. And it would be nice to grow something else than potatoes. And I think at this height, you can't really grow anything. It's the reason there are only really sheep in this area. Not much will grow. So I was thinking about doing the details on this spruce, but that's going to take ages. Maybe I'll just do a bit, so we'll just get a feel for it, and then we can move a bit further down again. But I think the feeling that I wanted here has begun. And if I can do some of the grasses here, you can get a bit more of that feeling. Yeah, I think I am going to keep it completely black just to get that contrast. And especially since the most important thing here, obviously, is that sun. I like to have a very black contrast at the bottom. And maybe I'm not entirely sure if this is completely black at the bottom, but I'll do a layer anyway. And once you varnish it later, that black will come out again. So it'll look really black once it's painted on now. Then that'll disappear again. But then once it's varnished, that black should come out. So this is what it should look like. But yeah, we are thinking a lot about spring and summer and warmer weather. We are going to pack our camper van and go for some travels and scout out a farm soon. And we really hope that the weather gets warmer for that. Because I think even in June, we drove over the mountains and I had a great plan of having my first swim for the year in those mountains, because I saw there were wonderful lakes and so on. But when we got there, there was still snow and all the lakes were iced through, and I'm not really into ice bathing. So that was very much a disappointment, and I hope it's going to get a bit warmer, a bit quicker this time. But I mean, in the mountains here, it can really snow at any time of year. So let's see. And now this is where the choices are going to start. Just what I'm going to be painting on. This, as I said, it's probably a bit too awkward for my hand. I can do a few lines, but I think the leaves are going to have to wait. What does it mean to varnish the painting? You spell it with a single V, and it means, I'm not entirely sure what it is, to be honest. It's the finish. So once the paint is dry, you either spray or paint a layer on top, and I think it might be an acrylic layer or something, that keeps the paint on. It protects the paint from the sun, it protects it from the oxygen, and it keeps the color, and it does something very complicated to the molecules too, so that the black actually becomes this kind of black, the way that it looks when it's wet, instead of that matte finish that it will have once it's dry, and it'll then stay like that. So the varnish is very important to not only preserve the painting, but to let the colors really stand out and really get that fresh look. What the ingredients are, what that actually is, that varnish, I couldn't really tell you. There are lots of different kinds. I use a spray-on varnish now that I can use a bit quicker, so that there's no risk of destroying the painting. I can't really tell you much more than that. It's a very important part of oil painting or any painting, to preserve it. And as I said, it does complicated things to the to the structure of the painting. Now, I think maybe that is as far as I want to take this for now. And I think we can start a completely fresh painting. I have an idea, because I wanted to continue on a larger one I have. But that's not really going to work out too well, because we're not really going to see most of it. And I'm going to end up just painting on the part that you guys can see. And that's going to be really awkward once I continue it. So instead, I think I'm going to do the same idea that I have on that one, but I'm just going to do it at a smaller size. So sometimes, like the last time, I just start painting, but some other times I have an idea, and I do now. Someone called me and I missed the answer. I'll hear it later though. Well, it's I can quickly say it again. It's the varnish is something that preserves the painting, and it preserves it from the sun, from oxygenizing. It makes the colors stand out much better, and especially the blacks become much clearer and look much deeper once you have a varnish on it. I don't know what it is. I only know what it does, and there are lots of different ones. All right. So the idea is a yellow, orange, and green painting, basically. So a big forest. So I'm just going to start. So I only know the general gist of what I would like to do, and we'll just have to see how it goes. So the only thing I know is that I want a yellow, orange, and red sun, and then I want a yellow-green landscape to kind of come out of it. So no great mountains in the background. I want it to be a forest, and then it'll eventually, so quite far away at the beginning, and then it'll just get closer and closer. So we'll see. Is it some sort of spray? It's both. So you can have it as a liquid or you can have it as a spray. Good morning, evening, afternoon to you, senpai. So you can get the varnish as a spray or something you paint on. I use a spray just because it preserves it's safer, basically. I am now desperately looking for my yellow, which I misplaced somewhere. And Janine says, hello to senpai. Let's see if I can find my yellow without losing all of you. There we go. Hello, Jack. Cressy says, yes, we know senpai's name now. Yeah, so that's the nice thing with these streams, as I repeat every time. The lovely thing that quite a few people have become regulars here. And that is lovely. And I hope you guys are appreciating my little decorating around my painting here. I'm never sure entirely what to do. What surface are you using? So this is a paper canvas. It's Hanemühle, so it's a specially prepared surface for oil painting. It's about as thin as paper, but it is made for oil painting. And that's what makes it possible for me to paint this quickly on top of it. Because it dries really well, but it doesn't dry in the same way that you would do with, for instance, acrylic or something. So it dries in the sense that you can paint on top of it and it sticks really well to the canvas. But it doesn't dry out completely, and you can still paint wet on wet in it for a few days, actually. And I really like it. So when I'm going to do even bigger, I have to transition it into the more traditional canvases, but this is what I absolutely prefer because it just such a wonderful surface. And it's these are probably, I think, 10 sheets on top of each other, and then you use a knife and you get it off afterwards. Where did you get the leaves? I've seen stories. I think I'm still looking pretty wintry. Yeah, well, the leaves are actually from, I have to admit, they are from one of my plants inside. So I stole a few leaves while pruning it. So they are not actually from outside. And the moss always looks green here. And this obviously is an evergreen. And these just came out from the some of the first things that I have discovered from, well, they're from the autumn. Interesting, thank you. Never used it as I haven't tried oil yet. Yeah, well, this works very well for acrylic too. So you can try it with that as well. Unfortunately, my relaxed time is coming to an end. I have promised burgers for dinner. And I have to go buy some products. That's okay, Krasi. It was really nice of you to stop by. And I will post this on Instagram TV and probably on YouTube later anyway. So if you want to see it again, you can. But it was nice to have you stop by. And maybe we'll see you again in the next stream. And I wish you all the best and good luck with your burgers. And Senpai says bye, and Janine also says goodbye to Krasi and wishes her enjoy her dinner. Okay, so getting the colors in now. Yeah, so this is the same color scheme as I always do, so it's just follow the rainbow colors basically. And after yellow comes the orange, and then on top of the orange comes the reds. And then you can just mix them with each other. Always happy to join, Krasi says. We'll check the video later. Alright, until next time. Goodbye. Yeah, so the thing with oil painting, what you can do quite a lot more of than you can with acrylics, is that you can paint wet in wet. So while it's still wet, you can mix the colors wonderfully. And that's what I'm doing here. So that you don't put the colors on top of each other, you keep adding them into each other. That doesn't mean that you sometimes become what people like to call a mud mixer. But if you keep somewhat disciplined, you can do a lot of wonderful things. And I love this process of adding colors into each other and then kind of seeing what comes of it. Since I don't have a clear-cut plan here, I can kind of go off of how it looks and just kind of go a bit after my feeling and intuition here. But it is a learning process. I remember in the beginning I would often do this and eventually just end up with a brown canvas basically. And at some point you can't really do anything because you have so much paint on the canvas. I think we can actually start adding the landscape soon. And as you can see, I can just collect the color from different parts of the painting and transfer it. This is one of the most enjoyable parts with oil painting, I think, is this process. Alright, and then just some really bright white, and on top of that we'll just start then doing some blues and greens, and then the landscape can start appearing. Is this year a long winter even by Norwegian standards? I thought we were well on your way to spring here, and even planted my vegetables last weekend. But we got snow in the mountains again, which is usually melted by the end of March. Well, so I think this is quite usual by our standards to have. I think we can never really. The snow is usually here until this time. Actually, we haven't had that much snow compared to our usual standards here. I think last year we had some snow even at the end of May. So I think actually for our part, this is quite usual. A vegetable garden. That does sound nice. We are going to start looking for our farm that we would like to own very soon after the next launch of our shop, and hopefully we can find something so that I can start a vegetable garden at some point. Well, the snow is usually melted by the end of March. That sounds very early. No. But I mean, in the lowlands in Norway, that will usually be the case too. So that sounds a bit more like it is a bit further down. Okay, so this is just the background. And then since I don't actually want any mountains, they're going to be trees here eventually, but I have to wait for it to dry just a bit. So if you'll see that there are going to be some blotches here, but the reason for that is just because it's drying, and it's drying unevenly, and those will go away eventually. During this time, it must be so exciting. I am excited for both of you. Yes, I planted some carrots and beet yesterday. Oh, that sounds nice. Hak Oslo says, three more. I'm not entirely sure. Hak Oslo, by the way, is my father, who is also a part of the live stream now. Now let's see here. So I would like to plant the trees as soon as possible into this painting, but I'm not entirely sure how much I need it to dry. And I can see that there's rather an annoying shine here, but I think I can remove that. So there we are. Yeah, so what my plan is to start adding trees that are going to be they're not going to be tiny, so not far off in the distance in that way, but they're going to be very far behind and into the fog, and so they're going to disappear a bit. And then I want some quite a lot more clouds further up on the painting. I'm just going to have to see now. The difficulty is that this isn't dried off at all, so I'm just going to have to see what works and what's possible. Let's see here. So the difficulty is going to be once I start planting trees, it's not really going to be possible to do too much at the bottom here. It's a pretty mountainous region for the UK, but it's not much compared to Norway. Snow on the mountain. Snowdon, interestingly, in Welsh is more interesting history for the very unusual... it's very unusual in May. Yeah, well, I think the snow on the mountain here probably stays until mid-June. But we really, really do hope to move a bit further down. Because it would be nice to just have the snow gone in at least mid-April. Let's see now. So the plan is to start planting trees here. I think we might as well see if that's even going to be possible. Sure. Because the nice thing is if I can start planting trees now, I can use the yellow in the background and mix that together so that the trees look like they're very far off in the distance. So a lot of the things that I'm going to do now are probably going to be painted over eventually. But I need it as a reference. It's not going to be that detailed. I'm just going to have to get the trees down. For the sake of knowing where everything's going to be. And so instead of painting them very detailed, I'm just going to use the brush to create all of the trees. And this is one of the things that I like about painting wet in wet, so to speak, which means that I'm painting on the surface that isn't dried. So that the painting mixes together and you'll get that atmosphere. So the contrast won't be as strong and you can just get this very smooth so it looks like it's a part of the distance. So for any prospective oil painters out there, I can very much recommend. It is quite difficult to do in the beginning if you're not used to it. But there are so many options and possibilities. I can really recommend trying out just doing an entire painting in one go, basically, and using the fact that it's not dried yet to your benefit. Hannah says, "Hi, I'm new here. Just discovered you on YouTube. I'm wondering whether you felt a change emotionally whilst painting. Now that you have to produce for a shop." Right. No, actually I haven't. Because especially the fact that I'm not doing any commissioned work, so there's nothing specific that I have to paint for the shop. Well, now that I said no, maybe there are. Especially with glass painting and porcelain painting, I've always ever done really for a shop, so I'm not entirely sure how that would be otherwise. But the way I paint is very much the same, so that hasn't changed too much. The main change is that it's good to know that I'm actually doing something that is not just a hobby. And the emotions, I have noticed, is a very big part of it. So if I can pour in some intense emotions and really go into the painting, I have noticed that those paintings sell much better, which means that my main job, in a way, is to actually keep that what you often think you would lose when you have to produce. And I have noticed that it's not actually a problem. That I have never had to wait a long time for creativity, because the way I paint usually helps me become creative. So even if I don't feel creative and I know, okay, I have things to produce, it will happen while I paint. So it doesn't really feel like I am producing something for the shop, especially not these oil paintings. Because I would be doing this even if I didn't have a shop, and that's kind of the way I continued painting. So I'm not doing anything really that much different than I would otherwise. It's just that it's a lot more, and I can actually dedicate my time to it in a very different way. There was a little time when suddenly I wanted to produce a bit too fast, but I got over that. And no, it's really just been a blessing, the fact that we now have a shop and I can actually sell them regularly and live off it. It's helped my creativity rather than destroy it in the way that I know can be a fear. For me, creativity is often linked to intense emotions, so that's why. Yeah, well, those are two different things for me. So emotions and creativity do go together, but a lot of my work doesn't have to be that creative all the time. So I can be very creative and emotional when I start the paintings, and then at other times when I finish them and I have more work to do, so to speak, and detailed work and so on, then I can kind of shut off a bit more, and I can do it more as a job. So there are different parts of the painting that go well together with different stages. Also thought I'd mention, Senpai says, that how a friend saw me looking at the Instagram post of the small woodcut paintings. I'm absolutely amazed by the paintings. Oh, that's really kind of you to say. I'm so happy. Yeah, so I thought maybe I will do one of those woodcuts here on the live stream. Once we've gotten as far as we can here, I can do that as a finish. I still have one here that I haven't painted on, because that's been a lot of fun, but I thought they might be a bit too small to do on the live stream, because I thought I would share one on the live stream, but we'll have to see if that even works. Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun, those woodcuts. Welcome, Hannah. I'm afraid you'll have to get used to me, as I'm an absolute chatterbox during these streams. It's from Senpai. Well, I'm very thankful for you, Senpai, because that means that I always have something to talk about while I'm doing this. And I know a lot of people probably just watch in silence and enjoy that. But I'm also very thankful, and that's very nice, that's wonderful too. But I really enjoy the chance of chatting too. So I am nothing but grateful to you, Senpai. Okay, so the thing I'm just going to do here is I'm just going to keep painting trees in layers and getting closer and closer. But I'm going to do a bit of a landscape in front of us first, because there's not going to be trees everywhere. And then we can plant the next row of trees. Oh, that would be exciting, yes. Tiny, but we want to see it. Yes, I will do one. I will do one. We'll see if the thing is that I have to get really close to them. But I think the camera can get really close to it too. So we'll try one. I have one that's already painted white as the background. And that would be good, because if I can't really, there's not much room for error on these small woodcuts, because you can't really wash anything off. But yeah, I will try to do one. I will see how it goes. So I can show you guys one or two here while I have you. So there are the ones that we are talking about, are these small little woodcuts here that I have been painting on. Lena made them. And so they are, yeah, you can't really, I have the autofocus on, so they can't focus on it. We'll see how we'll do it. And I have one that I could finish. Alright, but right now let's focus on those trees and see what we can do here. I love those Janine said. Well, that's good. They are going to be available in our store with the next launch. So I'm very curious about how they're going to go and if people are going to be interested in them. It's lovely to work in such a small way because it's just the entire focus. As you can see, I love details, and it's nice to just be able to focus completely on tiny, tiny, tiny details. Because I can never focus as much on the details as I would like to, because then I would never finish a painting. I just hope I'll be able to see it, as I've got to go voting center for the Senate election sometime today. Don't rush though. Well, if we do it here, you will be able to. I will upload this. I know I will upload it on Instagram TV and probably on YouTube too, so you can see it there. I only have one little woodcut left that I can paint on, so there's not going to be too much that you miss. And maybe if it works, I can do another live stream at some other point and do a few more of them. But that's going to be quite a bit later, because I'm probably going to finish all the ones that we have tomorrow. That's a relief. Yeah, so don't worry. Yeah, so as you can see now, often you'll see me do a really tiny little brush to do the details. And I always see this as a little bit of cheating. But since I am just going through the layers first, I just want to have the background of the trees. A lot of these are going to be painted over. And so I do what a lot of landscape painters do. You just use one brush and you just use repetitive motion to get these trees to look like trees. But I do often like to have a really tiny brush and make the details more properly. But often this always look a bit more realistic in some way. This is always also one of those techniques that anyone really can use to paint forests quite quickly and without too much training. Because what you have to look more on is just to kind of get some repetitive pattern, and then you'll get your trees. But then afterwards I will go over them again with a tiny brush and actually get the details, because I always like the fact that if you go really close to a painting, you should truly see an actual tree and not just some cheating little brush strokes here that only look properly if you are far enough away. But yes, I think you can see what my idea is here. It's just to get these layers done so that we can move slowly but surely closer, and you can get a painting in depth. Really want that feeling of being kind of in a little mystery forest here. Now we have the same problem as I had before, the fact that I'm just going to obstruct your view. So now the trees are going to be somewhat different, because I have to try to get my hand in here. I still haven't really figured out how to fix this problem in the live streams. Thanks for welcoming me. I am sewing whilst listening, so I couldn't respond faster. Oh, well, that's good to do that. You do something creative too. That's wonderful. Yeah, you're very welcome to the stream, and I'm very glad that you are chatting as well, and can be a part of this little community here. That is lovely. And if you can do some creative work at the same time, that is great. Let's see, I'm desperately trying to figure out a way to paint here without obstructing your view. Yes, I think I probably can't really finish this painting completely in the live stream, just as with the other one, because sometimes I do have to get quite a bit closer. Isn't it tricky painting something that small? Hi, Kalle. Oh yeah, it is quite a challenge. But since I usually paint details that are that size anyway, it actually comes quite natural. The trickier part is the fact that I don't want to destroy the borders on the wood, and so I just have to be a bit careful. But the lovely part with painting something that is incredibly small is that you have an entire landscape at your fingertips, and you can make enormous changes with very little effort, and you just have this little, almost this God feeling of control over the landscape, and you can focus in completely on the details. So I really, really like that. When I first tried painting a tree with a fan brush with repetitive motions, I was shocked how easy it was. Yes, yeah, exactly. So what his senpai is talking about is a brush like this. And with this, you can really paint trees very easily. I do kind of look at it as cheating. But it is very effective, and often you can make them look much more real than you can with just a standard brush. Because what you'll notice if you study trees and how nature works is that there are a lot of repetitive things in nature. And if you get that repetition, it's amazing how real you can make it look. Much more real than you can if you actually do every detail yourself, because then you have to try to kind of imitate nature in that way, and otherwise you'll actually get the way nature works automatically. So I think a lot of people, if you see a huge landscape painting, you'll often, I didn't at least understand how is that even possible to paint such an enormous landscape without taking years and years and years. And a lot of it is just this repetitive motion that you can use with these brushes to create the feeling of it. I've got to cheat a little. Yes, well, I do too, obviously, and cheating is not a bad thing. You have to. Hi, Kalle. Looking forward to hearing the podcast with Lena. Yes, me too. The interview is already done, and I am really looking forward to that being out too. I obviously got a little sneak peek, and I thought it turned out wonderfully, and I think you should all look forward to that. So Kalle does a podcast, and he just interviewed Lena, my girlfriend, who probably everyone knows here because you're probably all from her channel, her YouTube channel, and Kalle interviewed her for that podcast. It's My True North, and I'm really looking forward to that being out. Janine says, yes, excited to see it. And Kalle says, yeah, hey, senpai. Yeah, can't wait to share it with you. Yeah, so that's going to be great. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed those podcasts. And I think you do such a good job, Kalle. It really feels like just sitting down and enjoying some time with friends. It's a really wonderful environment there. So I can really, really recommend you listening to it. And obviously, since it's Lena, I can really recommend that, of course. And yeah, that's going to be great. So let's see here. Okay, now the more challenging parts are going to come. So I'll do another layer, and then the big trees can start coming. And I think at this point soon I'll stop cheating. Thank you, that's sweet of you to say. Well, it's very true, Kalle. It's you're doing an amazing job. It's true that I came from Lena's, but not very long after finding it. Been lurking around your Instagram for a while. Thank you, senpai. No, you really do, Kalle. And the latest video was wonderful. You just seem to have a gift from that connecting with people, and it's really turning out wonderfully. I can't wait to see you do more of those kind of things. It's really great. Okay, I think here I am going to stop cheating. Cheating is an awful way of putting it. It's a very legitimate way of painting a painting, and you can do a lot of wonderful and even better work than I do just with this way of painting. How's the roof rubbish tip relocation going, Kalle? So Senpai is referring to Kalle's long-standing project on his roof. Kalle, for those of you who don't know him, has a wonderful YouTube channel that you guys should check out. It's Kalle Flodin. And he has been working quite a long time on his roof because he lives in a little cabin in the forest. And there has been a lot of work on that roof. And he showed us in one of his last videos how much rubbish you collect when you build something like that. And I can imagine that it's not the easiest place to get rubbish away from. And yeah, Kalle says, don't ask, with a exasperated smiley face. Yeah, so you collect a lot of rubbish, and I can imagine that the throwing it away part is not going to be that easy. We are imagining too, I mean, you had one roof to do. We can imagine if we might get a farm that's quite run down. We have no idea what we're going to find yet, but those are probably going to be cheaper, and more of those that are, and a lot of farms are quite in bad shape, so we're probably going to have a lot of work like that to do too. I got quite scared looking at how much work just a roof can be. Then we'll see how much time I have for painting. Okay, so back to the brushwork here, because I think I want just to have the outlines first, and then all of the details can come in later. Let's see here. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to driving around in the van now this summer and looking at different farms and different places. So we have the area already where we would like to stay, where we would like to live in Norway. It's quite far away from where we live now. And we just want to drive around and figuring out and finding the farm, basically. So a lot of the farms in Norway are, they're run down, basically. So no one's living there, no one's lived there for ages, because there are a lot few farmers than there used to be, and the districts of Norway, they're not in the same way as Sweden, but even in Norway they're getting quite empty of people, and things are just standing empty, but people don't necessarily want to sell it anyway, because it's old family things. So you have to find them, and then you have to try to persuade them to sell it. Let's just say that the work on the buildings will only increase the bond with it, Senpai says. Yeah, that is very true. And I am probably not as adept with tools as Kalle is, because Kalle did a lot of the work on the roof himself. So I think my strategy will be to paint and then to have other people do a lot of that work. And that wonderful rooftop session, I'm not sure if maybe I will get myself together and dare to do something similar. So if you guys have watched Kalle's latest video, not the latest video, but the one before that, he has a wonderful little session where he sings his lungs out on the roof. And that seemed like a wonderful, free feeling of freedom. Dude, I have no idea what I'm doing with the roof. Mostly guessing. Well, maybe that. Well, then it's very brave of you to do it. And I suppose maybe there wasn't much choice involved. Yeah, we have figured out that it's probably going to be like that on a farm. Both of me and Lena have lived on a farm before, but a lot of everything is just going to be new. And so much learning by doing. And I suppose that's what you've been doing, Kalle. Yeah, sometimes you just have to start and try out and see how it works. And dare to make mistakes, I think. then I suppose that you must have learned a lot from this time. And I'm looking forward to something similar. Isn't it amazing how fast you learn things when you have to? Yeah, and when you are willing to make mistakes, I find. I always liked learning by doing mistakes. The only problem is that in school, that's not really very much encouraged. You should know everything right away. But I mean, making mistakes is the way I learned painting. I am so thankful that I didn't go to an art school, even though that can probably be amazing, but it's just lovely. Have to walk the dog, Sculler says. Thank you for this live stream. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Say hi to Christina from me and your dogs. Have fun, Senpai says. Let's see here. So now we are getting a bit deeper into the painting. The question would be if I want to have some even taller trees, but I think I don't want anything to break the line this time. So actually I think even this can be a bit marshier than I thought it would be. So there are going to be quite a lot more trees and everything into the painting. But for now, I think I'm gonna start doing the ground. Hello, sir, Kamal says. Hello to you. Welcome to the stream. Kamal Virtuoso is also a long-time follower. And just joined us here. You're very welcome to the stream. So this is a painting that we just started here now, live on the stream. I'm not going to be able to finish it here, but I think we can get quite a little way. Now I would like to do the bottom, but that's not that easy. Let's see, there we are. Yeah, I think some kind of a little marshy environment might be nice. And a smiley face won't come on. It's nice to have people join that have followed me for such a long time. And that we're actually starting to build a little community here. I find wonderful. And Janine is waving at Kamal, wishing her welcome to the stream. See, I think some kind of moorish, marshy environment, but I'm not entirely sure. But I think that's the feeling I'm getting from the painting. It's looking very dreamy. Well, that's good. I always like to have that dreamy feel in my paintings. Marshes and bogs are common placing features here. Don't go out without a good pair of boots. BRW is here. Welcome, BRW. Hello. He says BRW is also one of the regulars to the stream. We're actually starting to have quite a few regulars here. So, yeah, I always like that, to have that dreamy feel. Senpai comments on the fact that BRW has changed his profile photo to a wonderful sunflower, I think it is. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I really, really love with nature, is exactly that dreamy quality. So I always try to capture that. Janine says hi to BRW. I'm a bit at a loss exactly what to do right now with the painting. So this is a bit of a trouble with painting imagination, is that it's not always clear where it's going. So either I could just start doing some detail work now. A photo of my face may crack the lens, BRWs. That's very mean to yourself. I am sure that is not true. An escape from reality kind of feeling. Yeah, sure. But into another reality. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an escape. But I know what you mean, of course. A bit of that escape, the feeling of escape. But into a different world that is still somewhat realistic. Sir, all of your paintings are very beautiful. Thank you, Kamal. That is very kind of you to say. I think a river. A little stream. I'm just going to do it really dark first, and then we'll get that color from the sky into it afterwards. And it can be a bit more of a kind of a marshy stream. So a little stream and then some puddles and things on the side. You know, sometimes through the marshes, a stream will be almost grown over with mosses and so on. And maybe there'll be some water here too, for instance, and over here. So it's not so kind of a very slow river going through and being stopped everywhere. Hi, Vinny says. Well, hi to you. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, we have an enormous amount of marshes here in Norway too, especially above the tree line. They go on for miles and miles. And in the lowlands too, everywhere. There's so much water in Norway that's one of the main features almost. And very spring-like. That is true, I suppose, yeah. With the green and so on. Yeah, maybe we'll keep that. Yeah, so there are just marshes everywhere here. Which is one of the saving graces for a lot of the nature, because they can't really chop down the trees in the middle of the marshes, thankfully. Well, at least not in the middle of the forest. And so the marshes are some of the oldest places. And I think that'll be true almost everywhere. That marshes and hilly landscapes are usually those that are actually old and well preserved. Perhaps one day a painting of a single island on the ocean. BRW is one of my more creative followers, especially with suggestions of things I should paint. Painting from imagination and memory. Imagination fits very well for something like that, but memory is an important part of the way I paint. And islands is not a feature that I see very often here in the middle of the mountains in Norway. But maybe once we get to travel a bit more again, that might be something that'll feature a bit more. Yeah, I think something like this. Of course, in those marshy lakes, we can do both very black water and deep, and some reflections too from the sky. What is slang phrase that you use a lot, be it Norwegian, German, English, any other language? Marshes are sadly not untouched, especially peat bogs, where the bog is damaged by a lot of the... Oh, in the UK you mean the extraction of the peat. Yeah, I know what you mean. No, so the ones I'm talking about are... the peat bogs in the lowlands, especially close to the city. Yes, there is a lot of damage here too. Especially because the soil is very fertile, or, of course, they will, as I'm sure they do in England, they use the peat bogs as and extract it for the earth, and they sell it to gardens and so on. But the marshes that I'm talking about are those that are up in the mountains above the tree line, and they are virtually untouched except for the places where people build their cabins, and there's quite a lot of that. But there's nothing really you can do with that. There are still lots of rocks in them, and they're not as deep as you will have those peat bogs in England, for instance, or the lowlands here. And so those are actually very much untouched. I don't think you have highlands the same way that we have them here. So even the Scottish highlands are much lower than a lot of the ones we have here. The ones that I am talking about are all above the tree line, and even though Scotland looks like it is above the tree line, it isn't. It's just that all the trees are chopped down. Those marshes are very much untouched. And I think even in the UK, it's still true that a lot of... shame that we have made such a mess here. Senpai says, yeah, that is a shame. Well, England has been it was the first country to industrialize, and a lot of damage has been done there. And I mean, that's true for all of Great Britain. And even there, I think some of the marshier places are still those that are the wildest. So I think even in England, still a lot of the peat bogs are destroyed, as you say. It's still the case that I think those are the only areas that are still... I don't think there are any old-growth forests left in England, but I think there are still some of the places that are... Some of them are a bit more untouched. For instance, in France, I think the only place they have some semi-wild horses, for instance, are the marshy areas. And in Europe too, so in the Estonia and the Great Marshes, for instance. So I think even though a lot of them are destroyed, they are some of the only places, except for the very mountainous regions, that have somewhat untouched spaces left. So one of our dreams at some point, if we do buy a farm, is to buy quite a lot of the forest around, and then just not chop it down and just leave it be, because it would be so wonderful to just rewild a lot of the environment and the forest. A large cliff overlooking the ocean during a sunrise would be nice. Yes, so that the White Cliff Dover feeling from England, or... Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but I do have to be there. So I think once we can travel a bit more, that can happen. I have a view from my village of an enormous slate quarry covering the mountain. Oh God. The one on the other side of the mountain is the biggest in the world at one point. Oh, good God. Yeah, so things like that happen. Coal mining was the main industry in South Wales. Ah, right. Yes, I have heard about the Welsh coal miners. Yeah, that's been for ages. It was the first... Yeah, being the first country to really industrialize, that was a big problem. And I mean, there's still quite a lot of coal mining, for instance, in Germany, but they have some enormous mines. And the damage they have done is just it's unspeakable, really. So yeah, one of my goals would really be to manage to preserve a bit of the country that we have here, and just let things grow again. The thing is, around us too, I think there are no trees that are older than like 40 years. Perception is something I struggle with, as I need more practice, but to make it look so easy, let's just place a stream right here. well, a stream is actually a nice way to create, not this one because it's going to be very broken up, but often it's a good way of creating depth. So to actually get the forest growing again and get the nature back would be one of the goals. I would really like that. I become more and more horrified the more I realize that just enormous parts of our forest and our nature, the things that even now they look pristine, if you just come out of the city, you'll think that Norway is very much a pristine country and just woods everywhere. But so much of it has been chopped down, and the trees are all about 30-40 years, and nothing older. Although the quarry has torn up, the mountain still holds a beauty in some ways, with the blue colors of the rocks, and the quarry still full to the brim with local history. Yeah, well, you can look at it like that too. So of course there are, and especially with the old coal mining, there's a lot of history there. If it just wasn't everywhere, I could appreciate it more, I think. So of course we do need to extract things from the earth, and we have lots of stuff to build, and I get that, and a lot of the things that I use are from mines and things that are extracted. I mean, just this phone, it's just the amount. The one in my village closed in 1969. One of the cabins has the workers' coats and shoes. Alright. Yeah, no, so it's just an insane amount of it all. And the fact that it seems like almost no place is really preserved. So I get the... need, I'm not entirely sure, but I get the fact that there's a lumber industry in Norway, and that's kind of okay. But I would like them to see to preserve more, because people seem to think that if you chop it down, as long as you just replant it, everything is okay, but it just isn't. Janine says, was watching The Crown and was reminding of the coal mining accident in the 70s. Yeah, Wales had a lot of coal. I remember reading Can't Follett too. That was from the Welsh coal mines. I watched that episode today, Malput says. Imagine having a pocket watch with one of your scenes painted on the inside cover. Yeah, I can see the appeal of that, BRW. So, I mean, I'm not sure if you saw, but I can show you. I think it came a bit later now. But one of the projects that I am working on right now are these little woodcuts. And I think it would look something like this on the inside of a pocket watch. Let's see here. Alright, I think I will do some... This will be the next part that'll look a bit like what I call cheating, which of course it isn't. Just to get some vegetation. And in the chat they are talking about the coal mining accident. Let's see. And Janine says hi to him, well put. Let's see, okay. I will try to get some of that vegetation going, and I will do that in the same way that I did the trees, just kind of with the simple brush strokes. Not strokes, but actually just to get the mounds going in a way. Because the marshy areas in Norway, they really have these little mounds everywhere. Nice to see familiar names on here. Yeah, this is starting to be very much a familiar space for quite a few people. That's really good. So what I'm doing now is just to get some structure going so that I can have some idea of where things are going to be. You pronounce my last name better than most people from Belgium. I tried to kind of sneak the name in there. I had no idea how to pronounce it. Another question, I hope you don't mind. Not at all. How important is art theory to you, art history, composition? Would it ever interest you to study art history? Art history, absolutely. So how important is composition and so on? And not at all, I have to admit. So I don't think about how to construct these paintings. I know there are a lot of theories and rules and so on, but I have never bothered. Art history, on the other hand, really does interest me a lot. But I haven't really studied it much. So I think it's very interesting. But as far as my painting goes, it's just an intuitive thing. And I have usually ignored everyone that tried to give me well-meant advice on how I should do it. I know there was an artist who, I had a tree like in the middle of my painting. I said, never do that. No, well, if I think it's nice, then I'm going to do it. And I'm basically just painting on what I feel fits and looks nice. And so the theories, I completely ignore. But the history of it and why people painted the way they did, I think is very interesting. And I've taken a lot of inspiration from the old masters and how the Chinese painters did it, and the theory there I found incredibly interesting, because they had lots and lots of rules. But it might just be that that's so far away that I don't feel compelled to have to follow it. So yeah, I think that's the answer to that. Yeah, I basically ignore all of those theories. But since I have learned from watching other painters, and especially the old masters and the old romantic painters, I am very sure that I have adopted a lot of the things that they did, and I have learned from them. So I suppose a lot of those things are in the painting. But if you see how I build up a painting, for instance, it breaks every rule in the book. So almost everyone would start with just a brown background and then do the shadows and the contrasts, and it's just very different than the way I do it, because I just do it in a more of an intuitive way. And yeah, so while I paint, you should probably not learn too much from me, because it's all completely against every conceivable rule or advice, really. I agree with you. I take ownership for my own art and my decision. Yet look how wonderful and successive your art is. Well, thank you. But that isn't to say that you shouldn't follow these rules and follow that. I mean, it's wonderful what people do and the way that people have learned from each other and so on. So I don't want to disparage it. And I know that people that have gone to art school can do wonderful, wonderful things that I can't. A painting of a vast desert with a single tree in the distance. Well, that is exactly what we started on last time. And I am going to finish that. That's a future point. I just have to get a bit more desert inspiration for that. But it's this one. And that is going to be a vast desert. And it has a single tree in the distance. So that wish I can fulfill. That we can absolutely do. And please do ask any question you want. I'm very happy to answer questions. And that art question is, I find, very interesting. And a very interesting topic. And I know that if I talk about art schools and so on, it's very general. I mean, there are so many different ones out there. So you can't really generalize in the way that I do. The foreground is already, this one is looking already amazing. Well, thank you. Well, that's just very, very, very quick things now. That's going to look incredibly different. But it's just to get a feel of the texture. So that's another way that I differ in the way that I paint, because I go around the painting. So I'm not going to do one part and then the other. I just have to move around the painting and see what works. I love the soft ground. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I would like to do here. Some really, really soft ground. Amazing painting, Kamal says. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that really marshy, boggy, hilly ground, I think will be nice. Hannah says, yes, I can relate to that. I never compose when I paint, but I'm fascinated by everything that can be analyzed in a Goya or Dürer painting. All the meaning that is behind structure and light and so on. Yeah, so there are absolutely. So there are very interesting things there, and it is often very interesting to know about what actually went into the painting, especially those painters that actually painted with metaphors and different meanings in the painting. It can be very helpful to learn from those that actually know what's going on. So absolutely. I was talking about you to a friend yesterday about the painted cups and how I'd like to buy one someday. Safe to say you have a new fan. That's wonderful. I'm so glad that it's making its way around. For example, of course, there are many other interesting painters. Yes, very true. There are an infinite amount, of course. Just thought about something. Did you happen to look into the name of the wind book? Oh, you are saying something. Did I look into the name of the wind book? You did say that to me last time. Oh yes, I did actually. I used BookBeat, and I couldn't find it there. That was the thing. I used to use Audible, and I suppose it would be there, but now I have a subscription to BookBeat, and all my audiobooks and books that I have are from there. And sadly, it's not available. So if it becomes available on there, I could check it out. And they have a lot of titles, but they did not have in the name of the wind. I remember that now. Yeah, there was a reason why I couldn't look much further into it. Since you have done a small woodcut painting, how about producing wristbands wide enough to display or see? That is an idea. Well, the next project is going to be notebooks. So we found some wonderful notebooks in wood with wooden covers, and that's going to be the next project. So wristbands are going to have to wait for a little while. I'll mention it again in a few months, then yes, do that. And if you find it on BookBeat at some point, they do keep putting it out there. I will definitely take a look, because I like audiobooks, because a lot of my time is spent painting. So while reading is wonderful, audiobooks is the best way for me to be sure that I'm actually going to finish the book. And on Audible, I just found that I spend way too much money on books, while on BookBeat, all of the books are available once you pay a monthly fee instead of buying them again and again on Audible, and that's the reason I switched. Oh, there, the more trees we can plant, the deeper everything gets, I think. Oh, this is just going to be a small tree later, I think. I look out for a good audiobook then. A lot of names that could be mispronounced, I think. Okay, the question is now how this is going to continue. Or maybe, since it's already quite late, I will try to do that little woodcut. I just have to try to find it. I could have sworn I had it here somewhere. Because I think I'm going to have to make some dinner soon. And if I can't find this woodcut, then that's the problem with these really tiny things. They just disappear. much limits as to how long I want to spend looking around for this while being live. There we are. Okay. Let's see if this can actually... I'm not sure if you can see anything or if my hand is just going to block it. Alright, so I can continue this at a different time. And for the woodcuts, I have to basically have paper everywhere. Because we can't really clean them afterwards, so if anything goes wrong, they are pretty much ruined. So I have to put some paper down here. And then we'll go much, much closer. So this was already painted with white around it, and I have to do the edges completely close to it. Alright, I am not sure if this is really gonna make much sense, but I said we were going to try it, and so we will. Alright then. So I have no idea exactly what I want to do here with this one. So I'm just going to start. I think it'll come to me while we paint. Okay, so it looks good, Janine said. Thank you. Let's see. Alright. So I'll just do some white on top of it first. That's not going to look like anything to you, but just to get the edges properly. Night sky. I am sorry, BRW. I just did a night sky. I already have 2 of those. So this is going to have to be something else. Did Lena do anything different to prepare these with coatings, or just using branches that had dried? So she used branches that dried. We cut them. She boiled them in salt so that they won't crack. And then she ground them down and made them fine. So with the coating, she's done a few things, and then she's varnished them too on the other side. I love this. Drinking my soup, watching this lovely stream, absolute calm in an instant. That's good. That is perfect. That's exactly how I imagine these streams to be. Alright. So. Okay, so let's get some orange in. I think some really soft colors and maybe a bit of an autumn theme here. And here I'm gonna have to hold it a bit. So this is about the smallest thing that I have ever painted on, these little woodcuts here. Still in art history, the Dada movement was the complete opposite. You probably know. They didn't care about any kind of structural logic. What do you think about that art? Oh, well, that's... obviously it's incredibly different than what I do. I think it was... I can very, very much understand it for the time. Because things were so structured and there were so many rules, and they kind of just had to break free from that. So I very much understand the movement and the need for it. I think sometimes it has kind of taken over a bit for an hour time, and I don't necessarily see it as I have less understanding for it at the moment, but that might just be because the art that I like is pressed so much to the side. But I think it was incredibly important and a very good thing to just have a break from those strict, stringent rules that they had in the art world, and to just break. And I mean, that was a part of a culture in a lot of ways at that time. So I can absolutely understand it and absolutely respect the movement. And just breaking with all of the rules and the strict confinement of them at the time. Yes, everyone should take their blood pressure. We're probably down 20 points watching this live stream. That's very good. Yeah, no, so with the Dada movement and a lot of the painters at the time, I think they did incredibly important work. Often I think that a lot of those movements, they make a lot of sense in the beginning, and then a lot of the things that come afterwards do kind of tend to just copy it without the impetus behind it. I've literally just heard a mouse squeak in my roof. I hear them not squeak like this before. Well, once you get really still, nature awakes. Let's see here. Yes, then they were also revolting against World War One, I think. Yes, exactly. And especially what these wars did was just everyone just wanted to return to normal afterwards, and they wanted all the rules. And I mean, especially after Second World War, but also after the First, people just got ridiculously conservative, and just wanted things to be a certain way, and everything got incredibly confined and based on old, outdated rules. And so it was just really important to just break with it. And I think a lot of that conservatism that you found, where people kind of said we are returning to the old, they really didn't. They became much more conservative than they were before. Especially because we know with the 50s, for instance, it was just a ridiculously oppressive time, because people kept claiming they wanted to return, but what they did, they just became much more stringent in their belief system than they had been even before the war. And at that point, I can very much understand why they all wanted to break with the old naturalistic painters too. And I think after the wars, especially after the First War, a lot of the old rules didn't make sense anymore, because when we follow those rules and it ends up in such a carnage, well, what good are those rules? And what good are the old people telling us that this is the way we should do it, when the way that they did it led to such a catastrophe? And I mean, a bit of that has come back now when we can see that the way that people that came before us destroyed the environment. A lot of us now are reacting in the same way and saying, well, why should we do the things that we in the way we always did them when we can see the result? True, but also all the pro-monarchy politicians in the Weimar Republic. Yeah, exactly. So you want to go back to the thing that they knew before and ended up with something much, much worse. Yeah, the monarch. Yeah, exactly. They wanted it back. Very conservative. Yes, yeah, they were incredibly conservative, and then eventually ended up with Hitler. And then just wishing that you could return to this glorious age that has passed, it usually doesn't bring very good things with it. I think that's very important to see now too, that even if a lot of us would like to preserve nature and to have the forest back, it doesn't mean we want to return to what was. I would like something new. I think that's very important to realize, that it's not about going backwards. Or at least I think it shouldn't be. This is getting very, very small. I'm not entirely sure where we are going with this. It might actually be a winter painting. It can be, sorry about that, it can be a goodbye to winter maybe. Or I'll plop something green in front of it. Not quite decided yet. So I paint these woodcuts in the same way that I would in a huge painting. And it's the same kind of process. I think actually something green in the front would be nice. Our conversation turned quite political there. I did study politics, I have to admit. So if you get me going on these topics, I can continue for some time. You don't realize how small it actually is until you see a thumb in front of it, right? I thought you wanted no more winter. That is true, BRW. I think we will not do a winter one. What is the favorite book you hear lately? Any advice? So what is my favorite book lately? Well, that's always a difficult question. So I just, for the first time, it's a while ago now, but it was lovely just to wind down completely. It's an old, I suppose it's a children's book though. It's The Secret Garden. It's an old English classic, which was actually really lovely to just calm down. Going forward is scary though. It's against the natural need for safety. Yes, true, of the things you know. So that's very difficult to get a whole society to do. Yeah. And you see, societies don't want to do it, and we don't do it. If we don't have to. But I think we can see now with the crisis now and with the environmental crisis is that I think we're just going to be pushed to do it. And if there's a great need, people can move. Great book, Janine says. Sometimes I think it only works hand in with financial stability. That might be true, sadly. Wow, that's cute and beautiful, 10 series. Thank you. The Secret Garden is a cracking book, Senpai says. Yeah, it really is. I was very pleasantly surprised. It was really lovely. Yeah, the thing is we don't always have the financial stability to do that. So we'll see how it goes. And I hope that the climate crisis that is upon us will keep reminding us that we have to move. We have to do something. We'll see. It's a very interesting time that we live in. Scary, but a lot of stuff going on. All right, time to plant a tiny, tiny, tiny tree. Yeah, The Secret Garden is lovely, actually. I can wholeheartedly recommend it, especially because it's just such a different pace than a lot of the things that we read and do now. Okay, now my hand just really has to be very, very, very still. That's the thing. When it gets this small, I kind of have to keep my breath, hold my breath, while I paint the lines. Because every breath moves my hand. Is it the book on which the recent movie? Yes, yeah. I haven't seen the movie yet. But yeah, that is the book. I think. I think we're all holding our breath. Like I said before, you would make a good surgeon. Oh god, I don't think I would have the nerves for that. Let's see here. And I think some I think that should be a pine tree. Maybe the game operation then. Or Mikado, yes, that is, I don't know if that's the English name either, but I know it by that name too. I always loved Mikado. Or landscape painting. Alright, and then I think some lines on the clouds. And then a bit on the mountain too, so we get some more life into it. What is a book that you like that is not English? Like television films, I think there are more English productions. So not English. Well, I do have to admit that almost everything I read is in English. What did I read? I have read quite a lot of German and Norwegian books too. So it's Kristin Lavransdatter is a Norwegian classic. That's actually pretty good. Let me see now. I really should know a lot more Norwegian books than I do. And German ones too. Just that almost anything I read really is English. I really enjoyed The Secret Life of Trees by Peter Wohlleben. I just show there are English versions of that title, but he's a German forester and wrote some wonderful work on how forests work and live and so on. I did just listen to Lord of the Rings again, I have to admit. I always love immersing myself in that world. Since I was 10, I think, when I read it the first time. I always like coming back to the old books that I already really know. Especially when you paint and you have to concentrate. If you already know the story, that can actually really help. In the UK, we also have Mikado. If it doesn't ring any bells, it's Jackstraw. I show there are different versions of that game. Did you ever read German classics like Goethe? Yes. Oh yeah, that's true. Faust. I really liked Goethe's Faust. That I did read. That's a time ago now. And Stefan Zweig, which is Austrian, I suppose. I think Faust was probably one of those that really made an impression on me. this with the Name of the Wind series. I love that world and disappearing into it. I really do want to find that. I always love disappearing into worlds. It's annoying that it's not on BookBeat. I always love those epic books with huge worlds. I think I will check that out as well. Oh yeah, the Schachtnovelle by Zweig is one of my favorites. I don't think I've read that one. I have his collective works here. I should check it out. And Stefan Zweig just writes wonderfully. And The World of Yesterday, but I think that's more of a memoir. Or it is a memoir. Will Lena ever join us on a live stream one day? Well, me and Lena will actually do a live stream together. We won't be doing a painting session, but we will actually be doing a live stream together in, I'm not sure when, it might be in a week or so. And we will be doing that on her channel though, because obviously she has a few more followers than I do. And we will be doing that on YouTube. And I will be putting out a link telling you when it is on my Instagram stories beforehand, so that there will be a notice. And so we will have a live stream very soon, where you can ask us any kind of questions you want. So maybe we can see you there. Always thought it was most popular with his books, at least in German it is. Yeah, I think so. Please let me know, ebook. If you good to know. Very good. Yeah, there are so many good books. Okay, let's see here. I think a bit more contrast here, so we can do the same that we did with the other painting. Just gonna do some lines here first, and then do the details afterwards. So you kind of frame it a bit. That's the thing, when it's this small, it's wonderful with details, but they have to be somewhat clear to see, otherwise it just becomes a mess. You hear some really strange noises here. It's my dog. He lies behind me and he's dreaming, so he's kind of barking and making sounds. I enjoy comics from different countries as they're a bit of fun and help me improve my reading that language. Yeah, comics are really helpful in that sense. That's true. Your work is amazing. Thank you so much. The circular form pulls you in as well. All from the books. Thank you, Kamal. I really appreciate it. so as I said, we will have a live stream soon. And I think that's going to be kind of a live Q&A thing. And Kalle is actually, I think, going to moderate it. So going to keep a look on the chat and so on. Because if not, it's going to be quite a challenge. There's going to be a lot of people in the chat, I think. So it's good to have a moderator there. Lev Mohammed, I think that's, could that be Turkish maybe? I don't speak it, I'm sorry. Hi, Alex. Hi. Welcome to the stream. So you caught me now at the very end of the stream. I'm just painting one of my little woodcuts here. That's going to be the last thing that we do here. Hello, Animal Stones. Hello, is it wood? Yes, it is. It is a woodcut. Color combination is amazing. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I wasn't sure where this was going. Yeah, Animal Stones. This is one tiny little woodcut that Lena made and that I have been painting on now for our next launch. Thank you, Iliev. Janine agrees with Kamal. Color combinations is amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy with that. Let's see, I think the mountain should probably have a little white line. Yeah, so one thing that is really pleasing with a painting this tiny is that you just have the every detail. You can just work on every detail as much as you want to. And it really is a bit of a godlike feeling because you have such control. But of course your mistakes can be very dramatic very quickly here. I love the reflection of the sun on the mountains. Oh, that's good, especially because I'm doing more of them right now. Alright. That sun, I think we can make that shine a bit more. Alright. Then I think maybe a little bit of color into the landscape. And maybe tree. Oh, this is okay. Don't forget to breathe. Well, I can't when I'm painting the tiniest details. I actually have to keep my keep my breath in, and then I can breathe afterwards. Because every little breath can destroy everything. Just, oh god, just don't sneeze, PRW says. Yeah. Oh, that will be awful. I did have one of these woodcuts I dropped into my paintings. That was pretty awful. I could just about wash everything off. Alright. Well, maybe just a bit more at the top. This is the point where I have to stop in time, so I'm not done, so I don't ruin it again. But just a little bit up here. Oh, and this is the time where my headphones are giving up, so this is a good time to end it. Actually, alright, then we managed to do a little woodcut too. How long to dry the wood? Oh, it doesn't take long, it's so tiny that it dries off in a couple of days and then I can varnish it. Alright then, I am going to wash my brushes for a bit and I'm going to give you all a chance to say goodbye. Would you cover this in a small glass dome? Well, probably not. It is amazing how you achieve those mountains to be so far away. Very incredible. Well, thank you. What is your favorite audiobook on BookBeats? Thinking about joining as well. I have been thinking about Audible for a while, but it doesn't feel right with all the restrictions. Yeah, exactly. So I have a favorite book that I'm listening to right now, but oh, there's a bunny outside. But I can't, oh, it's brown now. But I can't remember what it's called, and I can't check it until the stream is over. Which is really annoying. I just don't remember the name. If you ask me again, or send me a message in Instagram at your DM, direct mail, then I can answer you there. Because I cannot remember what it's called. But it's a really wonderful book, and I can actually recommend it without knowing what it is. So what it's called. So if you text me there, I can get the name to you. Glad I got to see the woodcut painting. Really enjoyed the stream. Thank you, and goodbye. Thank you. That was very enjoyable, and for doing the tiny one, Janine said. Well, you're welcome. It was good to do it. And I'm glad you guys got to see it too. It was actually fun. It worked much better than I thought. So we can do small woodcuts in other live streams too. Yeah, send me a message and I will get that name to you. Cute Animal Stones is waving. I am waving back. and I will see you guys later. Thank you for joining. It was really nice having you here again, and I'm so glad we got to do this. And now I have washed all of my brushes, and I think I am probably going to leave you here then. So thank you again, and we actually got quite a bit done. So goodbye.